Imagine a country that sits on more oil than Saudi Arabia, more than Iran, more than most of the Middle East. A country with enough petroleum buried beneath its soil to reshape energy markets, global politics, and the future of fossil fuels. Yet today, it barely produces oil at all, and its people live through one of the worst economic crises in modern history. This is Venezuela, the country with the world's largest oil reserves. In this video, we're going to explain why Venezuela has so much oil, what makes it unique, and why all of this matters to the world, including the United States. Let's get started. When we talk about oil reserves, we mean proven crude oil that geology and drilling data show exists underground and could be extracted using current technology. Venezuela has about 303 billion barrels of proven oil reserves, more than any other country on Earth. That means if all this oil could be fully extracted and sold, it would represent roughly 17% of all known oil reserves in the world today, almost 1/5 of the global total. Venezuela's reserves are larger than Saudi Arabia's, the country most people think of when they think of oil. They are far larger than the oil reserves in the United States or Russia. They are enough that, if fully tapped, Venezuela could influence how oil markets behave for decades. So why does Venezuela have so much oil? The reason Venezuela has such enormous oil reserves lies in geology, not politics or luck. Millions of years ago, the region that is now Venezuela was covered by shallow seas rich in ancient marine life. Over time, dead plants and animals accumulated on the seafloor and got buried under mud and sediment. Under intense heat and pressure, these organic materials slowly transformed into oil. What makes Venezuela particularly special is the Orinoco Belt, a massive region in eastern Venezuela where this oil is trapped. The oil here is heavy and dense, meaning it's thicker than typical light crude, more like a sticky liquid than a free-flowing liquid. That doesn't change the fact that it's oil, but it does affect how easy or hard it is to pump it out. Venezuela's oil formed over millions of years from ancient organic matter in perfect geological conditions, and the Orinoco Belt just happens to be one of the richest oil formations on Earth. Here's an important fact most people miss. Having the world's largest oil reserves doesn't automatically translate to producing the world's largest amount of oil. That's because most of Venezuela's oil is extra heavy crude, and it's very difficult to extract and refine. Think of crude oil types like liquids. There's light crude, flows more like water, and heavy crude, flows more like molasses. Venezuela's crude is on the very heavy end of the spectrum, and that means it needs extra processing before it can be refined into usable fuels. It requires specialized facilities and more energy to extract and sell. It costs more money to produce per barrel than lighter crude. That's not a small detail. It's central to why Venezuela has the biggest reserves, but now supplies less oil than many other countries. You might expect a country with so much oil to be one of the top exporters in the world, but right now, Venezuela produces much less oil than it theoretically could. Here's the reality. As of 2025 to 2026, Venezuela's oil production is under 1 million barrels per day, down from over 3.5 million barrels per day in its peak decades. Today, Venezuela produces less than about 1% of all the oil the world consumes each day, despite having nearly 1/5 of the planet's reserves. So what happened? There are several factors at play. 1. Infrastructure decay. Oil fields, pipelines, and refineries need regular maintenance and investment. Venezuela's infrastructure suffered from years of neglect, lack of funding, and mismanagement. 2. Economic and political mismanagement. Policies like nationalization and expropriation of foreign oil company assets meant less investment and fewer skilled workers. Many experienced engineers left the industry over time. 3. International sanctions. Sanctions, especially significant ones by the United States, limited Venezuela's ability to access financial markets, sell oil freely, and attract foreign capital. 4. Heavy oil specialization. Because its oil is very heavy and expensive to produce, Venezuela always needed partners and capital to fully exploit its reserves, and those partners became harder to attract over time. In other words, Venezuela has more oil underground than anyone else, but producing and selling it is much harder than simply drilling a hole. Now let's answer one of the biggest questions for viewers. If Venezuela barely produces oil today, why does the United States still want access to it? There are a few reasons. 1. Strategic energy needs. Even though the U.S. is one of the largest oil producers in the world, American refineries still rely on heavy crude, which is perfect for making diesel and other products that lighter U.S. oil isn't optimized for. Venezuela's oil fits that need if American companies can buy or process it. 2. Global energy stability. Oil still powers much of the world's transportation and industry. Countries with large reserves can influence global energy prices. Venezuela's reserves are large enough to shift markets if they were fully tapped. 3. Historical links. American oil companies were some of the first to do business in Venezuela in the 20th century. Venezuela once exported large amounts of crude to U.S. refineries, especially before nationalization. 4. Potential future growth. With geopolitical changes and new investments, some U.S. and international companies see long-term opportunities in rebuilding Venezuela's oil sector, even if it takes billions and years to make profitable. Oil isn't just about money, it affects politics, the environment, and global power dynamics. Political influence. Countries with huge oil reserves often have outsized influence on organizations like OPEC and global energy policy. Venezuela has been a key player historically because of this. Climate and environment. Venezuela's oil is extra heavy and carbon-intensive to refine and use, meaning it has a larger environmental footprint compared with lighter oils. Plans to extract more of it are controversial among climate scientists. Economic development. Oil wealth can lead to enormous prosperity, but only if a country manages it well. Venezuela's story shows how reserves alone don't guarantee economic success. Right now, Venezuela is at a crossroads. U.S. policy and global oil demand patterns are still changing. Climate goals and renewable energy trends may reduce the world's reliance on oil over time. So even though Venezuela has the most oil in the world, the story isn't over, and it's an important one for energy politics and global economics. Venezuela has the world's largest proven oil reserves, about 303 billion barrels. Most of this oil is heavy crude, which makes it harder to produce and refine than lighter oil. Production today is far below potential due to infrastructure decay, politics, sanctions, and economic issues. The United States and other global powers still care because of energy strategy, refinery needs, and global markets. Every global energy chart you see in the coming years will likely have Venezuela somewhere on it, and now you know why. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button, subscribe for weekly geopolitics and energy explainers, and let us know in the comments what you want explained next.